Today we're speaking with Rachael Powell, the Chief Customer Officer at Xero, the cloud-based accounting software platform. Rachael is responsible for Xero's global sales, marketing, communications and customer functions globally, and believes that customer experience must resonate from the inside out, and is an advocate for positive engagement programs.
Well, first of all, I think that what we need to talk about is what leadership for the greater good looks like in the sector. So leading for the greater good more broadly is about creating that kind of safe and innovative environment that allows people within Xero to do the best work of their lives to serve our purpose, which is to improve the lives of people in small business, their advisors, and their communities across the globe. So putting the customer at the centre of our strategy is really important in terms of leading for the greater good. So leadership for the greater good in my sector is all about putting the customer at the centre of the strategy and reflecting the need for agility and flexibility in an increasingly complex environment, and delivering products and tools that they need in a timely and relevant way. And that is particularly important in times that we're operating in where there's a lot of volatility, uncertainty, change and ambiguity in this environment that we work within. So how this leads into leadership used for the greater good within our sector in particularly, I think the important point to make is that small business is the most underserved part of our economy. So it's Xero's goal to help them recover from this global pandemic and shine a light on the challenges that they're facing and give them the same opportunity to be successful as large enterprises. Because we know that cash flow is the number one cause of small business failure. So we work hard to help them across making sure that they have access to these funds and can manage their revenue. We also provide coaching and guidance through our education programs, and being an advocate for the challenges that the small business community face using things like our insights, our small business insights program. And this is really important from a thought leadership perspective to be able to work with the government and policy advisors on some of the regulations and the changes that they need to put in place to be able to support what is an underserved part of the economy, being the small business sector, but such a fundamental and critical component of our economic environment, particularly as we bounce back from challenges that we've faced with COVID. And this is all about, what Xero is looking to do to be a leader in this space is to build the technology and have the small business platform that will drive the success of the small business economy, which ultimately increases employment, increases productivity because they've got the digital tools and they've got the technology to make sure that all of the back office activities are undertaken in a seamless and a very effective way so that they can focus their efforts on serving their customers and potentially helping to solve some more complex problems that are going on in their industry or in the communities in which they serve. And we formed what seems to be the first of its kind Xero Responsible Data Use Advisory Council, where we've brought together a panel of external experts and industry leaders from across the globe who will help us fill that knowledge gap for small businesses and share insights and best practices when it comes to responsible data use. And I think from a leadership perspective, organizations like Xero and other big tech global companies have a responsibility to protecting their customers' data. The question around leadership for the greater good during COVID, this is a really important component of leading in a crisis. And I think this is what we've seen as being quite a distinction between leadership and management. There is not as big a gap between leadership and management when you're in steady state times. But when you move into times of crisis, leaders really show up, and leaders are the ones that are actually making decisions based on the interests of everybody that they're serving. So whether in politics, whether that's the communities in which you serve or the jurisdictions in which you serve, and in business, it's the employees that you serve, the shareholders that you serve, and of course, the customers that you serve. So we developed a range of new programs and initiatives. These included things like launching the Business Continuity Hub, which was a range of resources to help our customers during challenging times. This Business Continuity Hub also included information on government stimulus packages in the various regions in which we operate that were available to small businesses, and importantly, how these small businesses could navigate their way through the quagmire of information to be able to access these packages. And then finally, we recognize that many small businesses do not have the same sorts of services or advice that large enterprises have when you're hit with something like a global pandemic. So we published articles and webinars on topics like working from home, looking after your own well-being, how to ensure that your IT system is secure, and then how to also make sure that you're engaging and enabling the team that works around you to work most productively whilst continuing to serve the customers. So we call it a culture of abundance at Xero because we believe that as leaders in our space, if we can actually share our own findings and our own learnings and how we operate in these uncertain times, there's a lot of small businesses and accountants and bookkeepers out there that are part of our ecosystem that can leverage the same sorts of benefits. When you have a large global organization or when you're in a position of leadership, there's always going to be challenges and opportunities and obstacles that you need to navigate to be able to ensure that you're continuing to deliver for the greater good. And two of the areas where I think we need to keep pushing for change is one is in social and environmental impact space, and the other is in diversity and inclusion. For Xero, building a fast-growing but sustainable business means consciously managing our environmental impact and helping build thriving communities and cultivating an engaged workforce. So when we look at SEI, we look at social environmental impact. Like every progressive employer on the planet, our thinking and directions on sustainability are getting more intentional, more significant, and most importantly, more completely integrated into the whole fabric of our organisation and the strategy and the execution of that strategy. We need to keep setting a clear standard to be true leaders in this space. It's a term called positively deviant. We want to make sure that we are diverting from the average in a positive way. And to do this, it's no longer an option for us to ignore our efforts around this space. We have a significant role to play and a significant role to play to be thought leaders in the space of SEI. And our goal in doing this is not only to ensure that we are being socially responsible corporate citizen, but to help the small businesses that we serve thrive and ensure that they are also on their own path with respect to social and environmental impact. And they are too making a positive change in the world in which they are operating. And more recently, we've also partnered up with a UK marketplace app partner called Carbon Analytics, who leverages Xero's data to help small businesses start calculating their own carbon emission footprints. And we're actively looking at how we can make this process even easier, cheaper, and faster. The second element that I wanted to talk about is diversity and inclusion. And this is about pushing to ensure there is a greater emphasis on diversity and inclusion across every industry. And we will continue to show our progress in this space and influence others to commit to this fundamental change. So it's not just about what we are doing regarding the environment, it's also our focus on driving a diverse and inclusive environment. And we're proud of our efforts. As of March 2021, 63% of our executive leadership team are women and 42% of our employee population are female. And we also have a very public target of 40-40-20 for our board director roles, 40% female, 40% male, and 20% can be either or. This year and last, we were included in the Bloomberg Gender Equality Index. We were one of 380 companies globally. So we're really proud of being included in that index. And we're only one of 10 Australasian companies that can be proud to boast this. Now, we must continue to get more women in the tech industry. And I think that as a tech company, we've been very focused on gender because there was clearly a big need to ensure that we improved the balance of female to male populations in the tech industry. But championing diversity is much more than just achieving gender balance. We need more cultures across all companies, and we also need to continue to create that sense of inclusion and belonging where differences not only exist, but where they are respected, supported, and fully celebrated. In conclusion, the contemporary leader needs to be a change agent. I think one of the most important things that COVID has taught us is that there is a massive difference between leading and managing. And I wish everybody all the best for the Future of Leadership series. I hope you enjoy this episode, and I look forward to seeing you all again soon.